All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Wanted to pop in and share with you something that I have been thinking about recently. So, I started seeing this with my clients, with my prospects, with my peers, with my friends, who basically got some kind of training in something that they love doing, whether it's photography or coaching or consulting or interior decorating or, personal training or whatever, right? And a lot of times we were told that the only way to make money was as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. But that's really not true. And that actually means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so I wanted to break down the 5 different ways. I think it's 5. Now that I look at it, I'm like, is it 5? I think it's 5 different ways that you can actually make money as a service-based expert, as a service-based professional, as a service-based entrepreneur. Sorry, not as necessarily as an entrepreneur. And so that you could have a guiding light in terms of what makes most sense for you to move towards. And listen, it is also okay if you figure it out along the way. At the very beginning of my journey, I thought that I wanted to be a scaling business owner. And as I learned more about what was possible, as I learned more about what was out there, I decided that I actually did, in fact, want to be a scaling business owner, but it was very confusing along the way to sort of like vaguely see these different options, but not really know how to make the best choice for myself so that I could really stay focused on what I wanted to build and why I wanted to build it. So I wanted to go through these different ways with you so that you can see, again, which might be the best fit for you, short-term, long-term, or even if you don't know right now, that's okay too, but it's going to give you that guiding light to help you make decisions along the way. All right, so the first one is actually, okay, there's the first way to make money, and actually I'm not including these in the ways, but I just wanted to mention them because they're important to know about, and I don't teach on them, or I don't help people with these ways, but I want you to know what they are. So there's the non-expert, and when you show up as when you show up without an expertise and all you are an expert in is your industry, you're going to compete on price. So I'll make a distinction between that in just a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. That's actually not what I meant at all. A non-expert in this, what I'm saying is just somebody that has a skill set, doesn't consider themselves necessarily an expert, but just does work, and you treat them as an employee and you tell them what to do. They're always going to compete on price, right? So if I need a dog walker and I don't need a specialty dog walker, I'm just going to choose the cheapest dog walker that exists, right? So if you're that dog walker, you're going to be at the mercy of whatever that market price point is at the lowest level. Then we have low ticket experts. So I consider these people to be experts in your industry, but not in creating outcomes. Now, people who are experts in their industry, but not in creating outcomes are also going to compete on price. So this would be, if you're just sort of marketing yourself as a generic photographer, as a generic therapist, as a generic interior decorator, if you market yourself that way as a photographer, as an interior decorator, as a coach, as a therapist, you will compete on price. Even if you're an expert in your industry, even if you're awesome at what you do, if you're not an expert in creating outcomes for people, if you don't show up that way, you will compete on price. So people will push back and say, well, I can find a therapist for $100 an hour. Why should I pay $200 an hour, right? So you'll always be at the mercy of that. So those are 2 ways you can make money, not very good money, but you can make money as a service-based professional. Now, people I work with show up as high-ticket freelancers and business owners. Now, what this means, first and foremost, is that you must be an expert in creating outcomes. If you don't know what that means, I talk about this extensively in a lot of my other videos. Feel free to tag me, and I'm happy to ask me, what does that mean, Kristen, to be an expert in outcome? And I'm happy to point you towards those videos. But you have to be an expert in creating an outcome. Now, when you're an expert in creating an outcome, that means you are not really competing on price anymore, or you're competing at the highest levels of price in your industry. So if the top people in your industry are charging $50,000, well, now you have a better idea of how you can also charge $50,000 or whatever that is for you, okay? So anybody in this high ticket means that you have to be an expert. Now, the variables within here are whether or not you personally deliver your service and whether you personally sell and market your service. So this is where it gets really tricky, okay? So I see people that go out, right? They get their training, they get an expertise, they become a photographer, interior decorator, coach, whatever. They decide to become a business owner, but they don't really understand that the options for making really, really amazing money in their industry, in their expertise. And they start to feel frustrated because they're doing all this work that they don't enjoy, which sometimes happens at the beginning of building your business, right? It's part of the process. But they're not really sure if what they're doing is actually worth the payoff that they want. And what is the payoff? If they're doing all this work, what is the payoff? So I want you to be really clear about what that is, and then you can make decisions along the way. All right, so I'm going to start at the highest level, okay? And this is what I see a lot of people going towards, and then sort of saying like, wait a minute, I'm not sure I actually want this. Is there an easier way to do this? So I'm calling this the scaling business owner. Now, the reason you'd want to be a scaling business owner is because you want an unlimited income potential. You want unlimited time freedom. You want unlimited creative freedom. When you are a scaling business owner, the sky is the limit on what you can create. But you have to be doing the work, you have to be willing to do the work required to get that, and you have to be willing to take the risks up front to create that. So like I said, there are a lot of programs out there promoting this idea of becoming a scaling business owner, having passive income, growing teams, doing launches, doing, giant group coaching programs, doing, putting your marketing and sales on autopilot. And all of these things are part of being a scaling business owner. As people come to me after they've taken these programs, they feel burned out, they feel frustrated because they don't actually want to be a scaling business owner. They would actually be very, very happy in one of the following categories I'm going to describe below. So if you want to be a scaling business owner, awesome. I can definitely help you with that. These are people, I do help people with that. And so my programs are actually designed really best fit for somebody who does want to do that. But that might not be where you want to be. And I'll let you know too, as I describe these, if I can help you with these different things and how I help people with these different things. All right, the second category is what I call the high ticket freelance business owner with sales and marketing on autopilot. So what this looks like is that you're still the one who is delivering your own service. Now, when you're a scaling business owner, you can start to outsource that part. You can start to scale your programs where you are not the only person who delivers your service. There are a lot of ways to do this. It just depends on what lights you up, what your creativity is, what you want to keep as yours, and what you want to outsource and get rid of. So the beauty of that is that because as a scaling business owner, if you're not the one who's delivering your own service, that means the number of clients you can take on is unlimited. You can take on as many people as you can hire to deliver your service, hire and train and, manage and all that good stuff to deliver your service in a way that maintains the quality. That's how the income ceiling is unlimited. But as a high ticket freelance business owner with sales and marketing on autopilot, you are still the one who is delivering your own service primarily. But you have your sales and marketing on autopilot. So the downside here is that because you are the one who's delivering your own service, there's still going to be a cap on the number of clients that you can take. Now, you can still make a ton of money here. I mean, you can make a ton of money. So let's say that you're able to figure out how to get, $50,000 contracts with people, and it only takes you, or you are able to take on 20 clients a year at $50,000 per client. I mean, that's $1 million business. So per year, and you still have very low expenses because all you're doing is putting your sales and marketing on autopilot and maybe having some of the admin stuff outsourced. You're not creating all this other additional infrastructure required like a scaling business owner is required to do if they're outsourcing the delivery of their service as well. So you can make a ton of money. So don't think that a scaling business owner is not the only way to make a ton of money. It depends on what your definition of a ton of money is, right? So if $1 million business where you get to take home $500,000 a year is a ton of money to you, then this might be awesome for you. It might be enough, right? But if you want to make $100 million a year business or $1 billion business, you want to, have unlimited creative freedom, then the scaling business owner might be the better for you. And even in the high ticket business owner with sales and marketing on autopilot, you might be able to have you're going to have some significant time freedom too. So, if you want more time freedom, that may also mean that you have to scale back to 15 clients at $50,000 a year, which is, what is that? 50 times 15 is, 750. So again, let's say your margins are that you get to take home half of that. So that's still going to be, you still take off a ton of time and you still are making $375 a year. So again, like, it depends on what you want. But there is an income cap. It's still a very high income cap potentially, but there is an income cap because it is just you. And because you're going to have to be investing in sales and marketing, and potentially a significant amount if it is truly on an autopilot, meaning, salesperson commissions and advertising costs, costs to make sure that your funnel is working and testing it for the first time, and then it works on autopilot for a while, and then, it stops working as well. And so reinvesting your own time, reinvesting your own money to get it back working again, and, diversifying it to make sure you have lots of different ways that it's working for you. So there's going to be a cap on your profit because you're going to have to be investing in sales and marketing. However, the alternative to this is that you're spending time on sales and marketing. So there's a trade-off here, right? And I'll talk about that in the next one. But the trade-off is that if you're able to have your sales and marketing on an autopilot, maybe you can take on more clients, which means you can make more money. So it may offset the cost. The cost may be offset by the number of clients that you're able to take on now that you're able to, you're spending less time doing sales and marketing. So it depends on your market. It depends on your margins. So the pros of this are that obviously you get to do the work that you love to do, and you're not having to do a ton of sales and marketing long term because you're getting that sales and marketing on autopilot, and you still have a very, very high income potential. The cons are that you still have to do the administrative stuff of running a business. Again, you can outsource a lot of that stuff, but that takes time to figure out and to get the skill set to make sure you've done it correctly. And it's going to take time, money, energy, and risk to test to get those sales and marketing on autopilot, as well as skill sets. So, I mean, this is going to be something you're going to have to invest a lot of yourself, skill set, and time, as well as money and risk to get that on autopilot and to get that working. And then the con is that, again, like, are you going to be able to make $1 billion business this way? Probably not. Not to say that's impossible, but there is an income cap, whereas with a scaling business owner, there is not. So this is really right for you if you love what you do, you want your sales and marketing on autopilot, so you want to be able to deliver your own service more, and you still want to make really good money, and you're okay with the time, money, and energy cost of getting the sales and marketing on autopilot, okay? Because it's worth it to you. Now we have the high ticket freelance business owner that does high touch sales and marketing. So this means that you are the one who is going to do most of the sales and marketing by yourself. Okay, you're not spending a lot of money on sales and marketing, but you're spending a lot of time on sales and marketing. Now, once you have a strong brand, once you have a really solid skill set for sales and marketing, once you have a lot of clarity on who those, Soulmate clients are, it may require a much bigger upfront investment of your time to get that working, and you may be able to pull it back some and start to rely on referrals. But you're always going to have to be doing something to keep that marketing pipeline so it doesn't dry up, because you don't want to be 100% dependent on inbound referrals. You want to make sure that you are constantly, making sure that you're doing your part in keeping that pipeline consistent. It will be riskier if you'll go into feast and famine if you do too much of the, hustle, completely pull back. But again, when you kind of build that strong brand, you will build some momentum where people will start to refer you, and you'll build momentum in that your skills and your mindset will get stronger and stronger, and you'll have to do less to create the same kind of same kind of results if you put in that upfront time and energy and skill set investment in getting really strong in that way. Now, the pros of this is that you're going to have less marketing and sales expenses, both in the upfront testing expense phase and also in the ongoing operating expense phase. And that once you get a system that works and you can just rinse and repeat, you still have incredibly high income and profit potential here because, again, if you take on, if you need to, now let's say you still have to spend enough of your time where you're only able to take 10 people on at $50,000 per client, you're still making $500,000 and your margins are going to be higher. So maybe you get to keep 400,000 of that because you are not spending so much money in marketing and sales. The cons are that it means that more time for marketing means fewer clients. And it also means more time marketing. So if you don't love doing marketing and sales, and you don't want to be dependent on that for forever, then this is really not a good fit for you long term. It's going to be a constant drain on you if you're really like, because this will be an ongoing operating, essentially like operating expense of your time. It will be ongoing. It will not be ceasing. You will not be able to stop, or pull back. You'll be always having to be consistently doing some. You still have to have the administrative cost, time, money, energy, all that kind of stuff of running a business, and there's still an income cap. Now, this is one that, so these are the things that I mostly work on with people, right? Scaling business owner, high ticket freelance business owner that's working towards getting their sales and marketing on an autopilot, and high ticket freelance business owner that's, focused on high touch sales and marketing. Now, and anybody who joins my program, if you decide that this is what you want, my program will absolutely teach you how to do this. But it is also designed to set your business up to, if you want it, to be able to eventually put your sales and marketing on autopilot, eventually become a scaling business owner. So I teach you, so even if you are this, you're going to get amazing, it's going to teach you everything that you need. But if you are in these two categories, then it's going to set you up and has all that nuance there to make sure that you are setting yourself up so that you are able to transition from wherever you're starting into these two categories over time. Okay, now these are two that I don't see, again, people talking about a lot, and so I wanted to mention them as well. I help people with these less, but it does require a really strong personal brand, which is something that I do help people do. So we have two last categories. So this was 5. Yeah, okay. We have high ticket freelance inside a company. So these first 3 up here are about running your own business. And like I said, the downside of that is basically that you have to do all the administrative stuff that comes with running a business. I mean, you have to pay to hire your assistant, and you have all the overhead of having a business. You got to pay your PayPal fees. You got to, have a bookkeeper. You have to have an accountant. You have to have legal. You have to have all of these things that are required to just have a business and, make sure it runs. And you have to deal with all that kind of stuff, right? There's no buffer between. You have to have HR, whatever that is, right? You are the one who's responsible for all that. You can outsource a lot of it, but you're still ultimately responsible for figuring out who to outsource it to, or if you want to find somebody who helps you outsource that kind of stuff, which you can do. You could have somebody who is your business manager, your operations person, and then they help you with that kind of stuff, right? So you don't have to do it all, and in fact, you shouldn't be doing it all, but you still are responsible for it all at some level, for making it all happen. So for some people, being a high-ticket freelancer inside a company is actually a better fit because they don't have to deal with all that stuff. It really takes them out of what it is that they love to do most. The benefits of being a business owner, freelance or scaling, is that you get to create it, because is there an opportunity for you to be a high ticket freelancer inside a company doing the kind of work that you want to do, having the kind of soulmate clients you want to have? I don't know, you'd have to go do your research. You'd have to go find out, does this kind of company exist? And if it doesn't, am I going to go do this on my own? Because it's important to me to have this level of creative freedom. So, so it's possible that it doesn't. And so if you are your own business owner, then you know for sure that you're the one who gets to create those soulmate clients. But for some people, it might be worth exploring. Could I find a company where I could serve my soulmate clients inside that company in a way that works for me and I'm paid really well? So what this means is that you are delivering your service, but you're also marketing and selling it. But you have the infrastructure of a company behind you. So that might mean that they have their own brand identity that that strengthens your internal brand. It might mean that they have a network that you can reach out to. It might mean that they have, complementary expertises within the organization that are going to help your client achieve their outcomes. Whatever marketing and sales efforts they're doing. They may have internal training and mentorship available in your industry. And you might be able to get a very, very high pay still. So, you may be able to get a really strong commission. But the company's going to take a big, big percentage of that because they are doing all this stuff for you. And they have to fund all that, and they have to fund their CEO and all that kind of stuff. So what this might look like would be, an architect inside of an architecture firm who still has to go win new business and win their own business. So you get paid better because you're the one who's winning new business, or maybe a consultant within a consultant company where you're the one who goes and wins new business, and then you and your team deliver on that service inside the structure of the company. I think even like recruiters have this sometimes, right? Where they go out, they win new business, and then they get to keep a percentage of that, and then the company gets to keep a percentage of that, right? So you can still make really amazing money. I mean, I know people in these kinds of professions making $500,000 a year, and remember, this is their income. Like, this is not, there are no additional business expenses. This is just personal income that they get to take home. So you can still, depending on the industry, depending on the kind of company, the kind of structure, you can still make really, really great money. And if you're really good at new business development, you have a very strong personal brand, you can probably choose your clients too, because you're depending on the company culture, and that's why you would need to choose a company that values you and values your expertise and values your strengths and values that you're going to bring in these soulmate clients for them. You can choose them. So the pros are that you can have a very high income still, very high take home. I say profit, but what that means is just very high take home, very low expenses, if any. Now, I still would recommend that you get support, learning to, you're going to need to invest in yourself. If your company doesn't supply really, really top-notch sales and marketing and personal branding training, which a lot don't, you're still going to need to invest in that. To make sure that you're attracting soulmate clients, to make sure that you're attracting consistently good clients, that you're consistently attracting high-ticket clients. So you're going to need to learn that kind of stuff. So you may still need to invest in your skill set. But, marketing expenses, your company may give you a budget. Having an assistant, your company may, support you in paying for that. You're not having to pay for bookkeeping and HR and all of the software that's required to run a business, and having a computer, and all this kind of stuff. So your expenses are going to be much lower, and you're not going to have to deal with the time investment of running a company either, and figuring out all those pieces. Who should I hire to lead, all the operations part of my business, right? You don't have to deal with that. You may have less freedom, potentially. This is very much potentially. It really depends. Can you find a company that aligns with you and values you? And if you can, you may have tons of freedom. It may mean less clients, same as like the high touch freelance business owner. If you want to have more time freedom, it may mean that you can only take 10 clients instead of 20. And if you only take 10 clients, well, maybe you get to work 20 hours a week, but that also means that you only make, you only take home $200,000 a year instead of $400,000 a year, whatever, right? So depending on how you set it up and the kind of company that you find, it might be possible to have the kind of freedom that you want, maybe. Same with the type of clients that you get. Depends on if you find a really good, if your personal brand is really strong, your sales skills are really strong, and if you're able to find a company that aligns with that and that marries up with that. The take home might be a smaller percentage of what you earn than if you were a high ticket, high touch sales and marketing. If you are a high ticket business owner doing high touch sales and marketing, it might be. It might not be, because you may still be spending a lot in your operating expenses for your business. Same thing with getting your sales and marketing on autopilot. You kind of have to think about the math and do the math. If the company is taking 65% of what it is that you you are bringing in, do you really believe that you can run a business generating the same kind of revenue, doing the things that you love to do, and it's still having your creative freedom, still having your time freedom, in less than 65% of the revenue, right? So if you're going to have to you're going to spend all that money anyway, and you're going to have to take all the time to do all that kind of stuff, it may not be worth it to you, right? Or what is worth it to you? Is 5% worth it to you? 20%? What is worth it to you? There's still going to be an income cap, because all of these are going to have an income cap compared to the scaling business owner. And potentially you're going to be more like the high ticket business owner who has to do high touch sales and marketing, because you may or may not, depending on the company, have the freedom to test and try to get your sales and marketing on autopilot. Depends on the company, depends on the company culture, depends on what they're willing to invest, what you're willing to invest. So that may or may not be true. All right, and then the last one that I wanted to share with you is a purely internal consultant. And this I actually have seen recently as well, with like people who become coaches don't realize that you could actually become a coach inside someone's organization. You don't have to start your own business. But all you're doing is delivering. All you're doing is showing up and you're coaching, right? So for some people, that's a dream come true. And if they can make 60 grand a year, 100 grand a year, take home doing that, oh my God, that makes their life amazing. And so that's right for you. If you are okay with the income cap, whatever that is for your industry, right? And whatever that is, sort of competing at that, you're competing at a little higher level than the expert, the low ticket expert, because if you have a really strong personal brand, you're really strong at creating outcomes for people. You're an expert at creating outcomes. You can typically demand, you're going to compete at a higher level, so you're going to get a higher salary, a higher price point. But in this kind of role, all you're doing is just delivering. So that means no new business, no marketing, no sales. You just show up and deliver your service. You help create. You're an expert in helping create outcomes within the structure of an organization. Now, the benefit to this is that you just get to show up and do the work. But the downside is that depending on how you work this out with the company, right, you may be at the mercy of the kind of clients that they decide to bring in, the kind of work, the kind of projects that the company decides to bring in. You might be able, again, depending on how strong your personal brand is, and your ability to find a company that overlaps with that need, you might be able to negotiate a certain kind of client work. You will likely have a lower pay than if you're bringing in new business. And, but you can still make more money than somebody who isn't showing up with a really strong personal brand as an expert in creating an outcome. But again, it's still going to be less than someone who's getting new business, more than likely. Now, again, the pros are that you are only showing up to deliver the work, which is awesome for some people, and you can make good, consistent money. But the cons are that you are definitely going to have a much lower income cap than pretty much everybody else in this list. And you're going to have probably, unless you really find an amazing fit, you're probably going to have less freedom, time freedom, and less control over your work and your clients. So everything has pros and cons. You just have to think about, like, what do I think might be the best fit for me? And just knowing yourself, like, how much money do you want to be making long term? Like, what would be your dream? What kind of work do you want to do? How important is creative freedom to you? How important is time freedom to you? And that's going to determine which of these for you to take action and go after is really the best one for you to focus on. But again, like just knowing this is going to help you to make decisions along the way. You may not know yet right now if you want to be a scaling business owner or a business owner that just does high ticket sales and marketing. And that's okay. You can start with wherever you are. The skills all start with this: a strong personal brand, knowing that you are the expert in creating outcomes, and knowing how to position yourself and sell yourself that way and market yourself that way, getting clear on who those soulmate clients are, and learning some skills of sales and marketing. And whether that means you're going to learn those skills of sales and marketing to eventually go out and get a job, at a company, or that it means that you're going to be a freelance, you're going to still have to do marketing and sales within your own business or inside of a company. You're still going to need that same basic foundation so that you are soulmate client living. You are working with soulmate clients no matter what your income goals are, no matter what your creative goals are, no matter what your time goals are. And you can always, with more information, you can change your mind. But all of these have the same basic fundamental skill sets that you can transfer to each depending on which is most important to you. And like I said, I set people up to be able to do pretty much any of these. I mean, my programs are really designed to make sure that people who want to be a scaling business owner, who want to be a business owner with sales and marketing on autopilot, have everything that they need to start with to get there for sure. But it really helps the foundations for all of these to be able to succeed and have very quick wins and have very long-term sustainable wins as well. So let me know, what do you think? Where do you think you ultimately want to end up? Did this give you any ahas or insights about maybe where you are now and where you want to be? Maybe some of the trade-offs you're willing to make that you didn't realize were there before, or the trade-offs that you're not willing to make that you thought maybe you wanted. I would love to hear like where you think you are, where you think you want to be. All right, y'all have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.